Hi, I'm Amy Kosh, and thank you for joining me tonight for your coaching tip of the day. And you're all going to have to put up with the fact that I broke my good glasses, so there's going to be a little glare, but hey, life goes on. So I'm glad that you could join me tonight, and I really wanted to open this up to everyone out there watching tonight to ask one of your biggest life questions. So if you have a question that you would like to tackle tonight, write it in the comments section and we'll definitely get to it. To start us off, I got a great question from one of my favorite baristas this morning. So we're going to start with that one. And she said, how do I know that I'm on the right path? Like, what will help me feel confident that I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing in my life? And there are two different aspects that I wanted to talk about and two different tools that are really useful for that. So the first one is to identify your own core values. And the core values are really the things that make you, you. They're the indescribable pieces, but you see them in every possible aspect of your life. So for instance, it might be that you are really honest, and you're honest across the board, whether it's in personal or business or any kind of relationship you've got, you're super honest. Maybe it's integrity, and that's a really key piece for you, that nothing else it matters to you except your own integrity in a situation. Maybe it's adventurousness. So another core value could be that you're adventurous or you're really brave and you step up to a challenge. And you see that when you look at your personal life, your home life, your work life, you see that there are aspects where you keep stepping up to a challenge or you keep stepping up into being brave. So grab a pen and paper and take a moment or two while we're sitting here and think about some of your own core values. You can just jot them down. They're not carved in stone. And if you come up with a list of about 10, that might take you a week to do, but it's a really great practice. And then once you've got that list of core values, start to think about, okay, what are the top 3 that I am completely unwilling to let go of? Like, out of everything else that happens in my life, I'm going to stick to these 3 core values. In some ways, you can think of your own personal core values as your personal mission statement. So for instance, one of mine is adventurousness. And no matter how hard I try, I can't not be adventurous. Sometimes it gets me in a little bit of hot water, but it's always served me really well in the end. And it's certainly made life very interesting. So feel free to throw into the comments a couple of your core values as you jot them down. And I'll give you a couple minutes to write them down. And we'll move on to one of the other questions that about how do you know you're on the right path? So it's a big question. And interestingly, the younger you are, the bigger the question is. But it comes back again, for me at least, every decade. So we always approach it with a feeling of trepidation very often, or unsureness. And so I want to use a technique called appreciative inquiry, which is really in part about going back, looking at what you have decided or done in the past, seeing what was successful about that, and then bringing that success piece forward to use in the present. So if you're really questioning, like, oh my God, what am I supposed to be doing? I'm not really sure if this is the right path. I'm about to invest a huge amount of money in my business or a huge amount of money in my education, and I really want to make sure that it's a really good investment, that it's going to fit me, and it's going to move me forward to what I want in my life. So appreciative inquiry is one technique that you can use to bring that forward and to figure out, well, so is this the right decision? Is this a right decision? Because the honest answer is there's never just one. Every day we make a series of decisions, and each decision changes the path of our life, and we can change it back. So again, almost nothing is ever carved in stone, especially when it comes to life decisions. You can always make a change. Sometimes the change will be harder, and sometimes it will be easier. but almost everything in the world, in life, allows you to choose. So, for the appreciative inquiry tool that we're going to play with again, think back to some time when you had to make a choice about a particular event. And think about maybe a challenge that you met and that you overcame. And I want you to really let yourself feel what overcoming that challenge felt like in your body. Like you've just run the biggest, longest marathon, you planned for it for a whole year, and you just crossed the finish line and your time is awesome. And you feel tired and you feel elated and you feel exuberant. Feel that feeling in your body right now. Allow your body to remember that. You might even find yourself smiling. And as you allow your body to remember that feeling, you're also retraining the body about what it feels like to succeed. So think about that moment when you met that challenge and you overcame it, whatever it was. How did your body feel? What do you notice about your emotions in that moment? So let yourself feel those emotions of elation and joy. Let yourself feel like, I just won this marathon. I can't fucking believe it. And by the way, I do curse a bit. So as you're feeling this feeling of joy and emotion, and you're rising up through it, you're noticing what your body is feeling like, let yourself feel that again, now, in this very moment. What we're doing is we're reminding ourselves of the somatic or body awareness of what that feels like, what accomplishment feels like, what meeting and overcoming a challenge feels like. Often we forget what that feels like. And the more we remind our body of it, the more we actually produce the chemicals in our brains and in our bodies that reproduce that feeling of success and overcoming a challenge. It's a really cool mechanism that works physiologically, and I love the science piece of that. So as you are feeling this again, think about how could you bring this same feeling to whatever the current situation is, or that question about, am I on the right path? As you're noticing that question, sitting with this elated feeling in your body, go back to that core values list that you created, even if it's just a few items at this moment. And take a moment to notice, are there any of your core values that you feel like are getting trampled in your current situation? Maybe there's a core value of, for me, it was always adventurousness. That's my number one. So I had a job years ago for a really awesome company doing some really awesome research and development. And I loved it. I worked with a great group of engineers and physicists. It was super exciting. It was a really cool group to work in and a really fun job to have. But there was one thing about that job that really irked me. And it was that I had to work in a very small, very dark office every single day. And working in that place, literally that location, it just killed my sense of adventurousness. Every single day I walked in, I kept trying to find ways to get out. And it was so bad that after about 3 weeks, I roped a couple of other people on our team into taking after lunch walks with me for a half an hour. And I would hold all of my meetings with people outside whenever I could, and I'd get them to walk the campus with me. So that was one way that I found to fit my job that I really liked most of with the other piece of the core value of mine that wasn't being met at the moment. And the minute I figured out how to do that, man, that job took off. I loved it. And it felt like I was actually on the right path. Where up until that point, I felt kind of constrained and tied down. So again, go back to that list of core values, those things that make you, you. And take a look at what that challenge is or that question about being on the right path. And look and see where are some of your core values either non-existent, in the path you're currently choosing? Or where are they kind of getting tamped down or subsumed? Is there something you can change, like I did with the outside walks and the outside meetings? Is there something about what you're doing right now that you can change even just a little that will help you elevate and align with those top 3 core values? And I want you to be really greedy. I want you to go for all 3 top core values. 1 is great, 2 is amazing, but 3, if you can meet all 3 of your core values with what you're doing in some way, you will feel absolutely like you're on the right path. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed this, and I'm going to give a little bit of time right now. If you have a question or a comment about core values or appreciative inquiry, or just about another question to ask about being on the right path and how do you know that, feel free to throw it in the comments. And thank you all for joining me today. This is awesome. And so I want to close by saying, if you give yourself 5 minutes a day to re-experience that winning feeling, that overcoming a challenge feeling, that feeling of real accomplishment, if you relive that for just 5 minutes a day, I guarantee you're going to be easier in your mind, and you're also going to feel far more connected to what you are doing and to trusting your own choice that you really are on the right path. And hey, if you need a little more help, I would love to coach with you. So feel free to message me here on Facebook, Amy Kosh, or hit me up on my website and unstoppablelife.com. Thanks for joining me, and please share the video and share the information. You can also find me on YouTube and on Medium. Thanks, and have a great evening. Love you guys.